What if I told you that the stiffness you feel every single morning has nothing to do with your age? It's not arthritis wearing your joints down overnight. It's not just getting older, no matter how many doctors have told you that with a shrug. It's not even about how you slept, or which side you rolled onto, or that old mattress you keep meaning to replace. The real reason your knees crackle and your hips lock up before you've even made it to the bathroom comes down to a fluid most people have never even heard the name of. I'm a physical therapist who has spent years working specifically with older adults on mobility and joint health. And here's the number that should make you take this seriously. According to the CDC, more than half of American adults age 75 and older have been diagnosed with arthritis, and countless more live with a stiffness that comes before any diagnosis ever gets made. This isn't rare. This is happening to the person sitting next to you at church, at the grocery store, at your own kitchen table. Let me tell you about Carol. Carol is 68, and for the last 2 years, the first 10 minutes of every single day have felt like her body forgot how to work. She wakes up, swings her legs over the side of the bed, and her knees feel like they've been packed in cement overnight. Her hips ache when she stands. Some mornings her hands are so stiff she can barely twist the cap off her coffee creamer. She mentioned it to her doctor once, and he told her, "That's just part of getting older, Carol. Take some ibuprofen if it bothers you." She left that appointment feeling dismissed, and honestly a little scared. If this was just aging, was it only going to get worse from here? Was there nothing she could actually do about it? She started dreading the sound of her own alarm clock, not because of the day ahead, but because of those first painful minutes just trying to get out of bed. Before I show you exactly what's happening inside Carol's joints, and inside yours, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you don't miss the next video, because I release new mobility routines every week designed specifically for people over 65 who want to move confidently, not cautiously. And I want to know if this video is actually helping you. If you're finding this useful, type the number 1 in the comments. If not, type 0, so I know exactly how to make the next one better for you. So let's talk about what's really going on. You wake up and your joints feel locked, gritty, almost rusted shut. That's the visible problem. Everyone over 65 has felt it. But here's what almost nobody explains to you. Inside every one of your major joints, your knees, your hips, your shoulders, there's a thin lining called the synovium, and it produces a slippery, honey-like substance called synovial fluid. Think of this fluid as the oil in a door hinge. When that hinge gets used regularly, the oil stays thin and spreads evenly, and the door swings smoothly. But when that hinge sits untouched for 8 hours, the oil doesn't disappear, it just settles and thickens, almost like gelatin cooling in the fridge. Doctors actually have a name for this. They call it morning gel. Your synovial fluid isn't gone, it's just gelled up from hours of stillness, and your cartilage, muscles, and tendons have tightened right along with it. Here's the part that matters most. This is not the same thing as your joints being damaged. This is not your cartilage crumbling away while you sleep. This is a fluid that has simply gone still, sitting inside a capsule that hasn't been asked to move in hours. As we age, our bodies do naturally produce somewhat less of this fluid than they did in our 20s, and our cartilage does lose some of its cushioning over time. But the stiffness you feel in those first 10 minutes of the morning is overwhelmingly about circulation and redistribution, not destruction. Picture a jar of honey that's been sitting in a cold pantry. It looks solid, almost stuck, but give it a little warmth and a little movement, and it turns liquid and pours smoothly again. Your joints work the same way. This also explains something that confuses a lot of people. Why the same knee that feels frozen solid at 7 in the morning is moving almost normally by 9, with nothing having healed in those 2 hours. Nothing healed because nothing was broken to begin with. What happened is that the fluid warmed and thinned through ordinary movement, walking to the kitchen, standing at the counter, going up a few stairs, and your muscles gradually release the overnight tightness around each joint. Doctors who study this describe it as a distinct pattern, separate from inflammatory conditions where stiffness can drag on for an hour or longer. This morning gel pattern, the kind most people over 65 experience, typically eases within about 10 to 30 minutes once the joint is back in motion. The difference matters because it tells you this stiffness responds directly to what you do in those first few minutes after waking, not just to how many birthdays you've had. That's genuinely good news because it means this specific kind of stiffness is one of the most reversible things about how your body ages. You are not stuck with this. You can train your joints to gel less and move faster, starting tomorrow morning, with movements that take less than 10 minutes, done before you ever put your full weight on a cold, still joint. That's exactly what I'm about to walk you through, a synovial fluid reset, a specific sequence of gentle movements designed to redistribute that thickened fluid, warm your connective tissue, and get you moving smoothly again, fast. This is the same kind of sequence that finally gave Carol her mornings back, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, one joint at a time. We're going to start at the ankles because they're often the most neglected joint, and they set the tone for how the rest of your body moves once you're up and walking. While you're still lying in bed, before your feet even touch the floor, this is your first move. Ankle pumps and circles work because your ankle joint has been completely motionless for hours, and it's also one of the joints most responsible for how stable and confident you feel the moment you stand up. Getting synovial fluid moving here before you bear any weight on it means you're not asking a stiff, gelled joint to suddenly support your full body weight cold. Here's how to do it. Lying on your back or sitting on the edge of the bed, point your toes away from you, then flex them back up toward your shins, as far as comfortably possible. Do this 10 times. Then rotate each ankle in a slow, full circle, 5 times clockwise and 5 times counterclockwise, 1 foot at a time. The most common mistake here is rushing through it, snapping the ankle back and forth quickly instead of moving through the full range of motion slowly. Focus on feeling the stretch at the very top and very bottom of each movement, not just the middle. Once this feels easy over a couple of weeks, you can progress by adding gentle resistance, looping a hand towel around the ball of your foot and pressing against it as you flex. Next, we move to the knees, and this is where Carol's stiffness hit hardest every single morning. Knee stiffness happens because the joint is surrounded by a large synovial capsule, and your quadriceps, the big muscle group on the front of your thigh, tend to tighten overnight along with it. When that muscle is tight, it pulls in the kneecap and makes the whole joint feel locked, even before you've taken a single step. Sit on the edge of a sturdy chair or the edge of your bed with your feet flat on the floor. Slowly extend one leg straight out in front of you until it's as straight as comfortably possible. Then gently tighten the muscle on the top of your thigh and hold that contraction for 3 seconds. Lower your foot back down with control. Do 10 repetitions on one leg, then switch to the other. The mistake most people make is letting the leg drop quickly instead of lowering it slowly, which skips the muscle engagement that actually helps pump fluid through the joint. Focus on a slow 3 count on the way down every time. To progress this once it feels easy, add a light ankle weight, starting around 1 to 2 pounds, or loop a resistance band around your foot for added tension on the way up. This is exactly the moment that used to trip Carol up every single morning, that first attempt to stand with knees that felt locked in place. Once she started doing these seated extensions before getting up, she told me the difference was almost immediate. She said it felt like someone had finally oiled a door that had been stuck shut for months. From here we move to the hips, which is where a lot of that shuffling walk pattern in older adults actually begins. Hip stiffness in the morning is largely about the same synovial thickening, combined with tightness in the muscles that wrap around the hip joint after hours of lying still in one position. Stand behind a sturdy chair and hold on to the back of it with both hands for support. Gently lift one knee up toward your chest, then move that leg out to the side in a slow, controlled, circular motion, like you're gently stirring a large pot. Do 8 to 10 circles in one direction, then reverse and do 8 to 10 in the other direction, keeping your standing leg soft, not locked. Switch to the other leg. The most common mistake is rushing the circle or making it too small to matter, which barely moves fluid through the joint at all. Focus on making the circle as wide and slow as your balance comfortably allows. Once this feels stable, you can progress in 2 stages. First, by holding a light 1-pound weight strapped just above your ankle for a few weeks, and later, once that feels easy, by closing your eyes briefly during the movement, with your chair still firmly there for safety, to further challenge your balance and hip stability together. Now we move up to the spine and lower back, because after 8 hours of lying still, your spine has been in one position for longer than almost any other part of your body, and that stiffness often radiates outward into how the hips and shoulders feel too. Sit toward the front edge of a sturdy chair with both feet flat on the floor. Place your hands gently on your knees. Slowly round your spine forward, dropping your chin toward your chest and pulling your belly button in, like a cat arching its back. Hold for 2 seconds. Then slowly reverse the movement, lifting your chest, gently arching your back, and looking slightly upward. Hold for 2 seconds. Move slowly between these 2 positions 10 times total. The mistake most people make is moving too fast, treating it like a quick bounce instead of a slow, controlled stretch, which doesn't give the spinal joints time to actually redistribute fluid. Focus on breathing out as you round forward and breathing in as you arch back, which naturally slows the pace down. To progress this, once it's comfortable, add a gentle seated twist at the top of the movement, placing one hand on the opposite knee and looking over your shoulder. Next are the shoulders, which matter more than most people realize because shoulder stiffness is often what quietly limits reaching for a top shelf, fastening a seatbelt, or getting dressed without wincing. Sit upright with your feet flat on the floor and extend both arms straight out to your sides, forming a T shape. Slowly rotate your arms in small circles, about the size of a dinner plate, for 30 seconds in a clockwise direction. Rest for a moment, then repeat for 30 seconds counterclockwise. Do 2 to 3 total sets. The common mistake here is shrugging the shoulders up toward the ears during the movement, which actually creates more tension instead of releasing it. Focus on keeping your shoulders relaxed and pull gently down and back throughout. To progress this, gradually make the circles larger over time, working up to circles the size of a dinner plate and eventually a steering wheel as your shoulders loosen. Now we bring it down to the hands and wrists, and I want to spend real time here because for a lot of people over 65, this is the stiffness that actually interferes with daily life the most. Opening jars, buttoning shirts, holding a coffee cup steady first thing in the morning. Your hands have dozens of small joints, and after a night without movement, the fluid in each of them has settled, just like everywhere else. Hold both hands out in front of you and open your fingers as wide as you comfortably can, spreading them fully apart. Then slowly curl your fingers down into a loose fist, tucking your thumb outside your fingers, not underneath them. Open back up to a wide spread. Repeat this 10 to 15 times. Follow that immediately with slow wrist circles, 5 rotations in each direction per hand. The most common mistake is clenching the fist too tightly, which tenses the forearm muscles instead of simply mobilizing the joint. Focus on keeping the motion loose and unhurried, like you're gently squeezing and releasing a soft sponge. To progress this, you can add light finger resistance using a rubber band looped around your fingertips as you open your hand against it. Finally, we finish at the neck, because tension here often builds overnight from your pillow position, and it's worth addressing gently and last once everything else has already started to loosen. Sit tall and slowly turn your head to look over one shoulder, going only as far as feels comfortable, never forcing it. Hold for 2 seconds, return to center, then turn to the other side and hold for 2 seconds. Repeat 5 times per side. Follow with a gentle ear to shoulder tilt, 5 times per side, holding each for 2 seconds. The biggest mistake here is tilting the head backward or forcing the range of motion, which can strain rather than release the neck. Focus on small, slow, pain-free movement only. There is no progression needed here. This one stays gentle for life, since the neck is not a joint you want to push aggressively. Before you try any of this, a few important notes. If you have been diagnosed with osteoporosis, a recent joint replacement, rheumatoid arthritis, or any spinal condition, please check with your doctor before starting this routine, since some of these movements may need to be modified for you specifically. The rule for every single exercise here is the same. Gentle discomfort from stiffness is normal, but sharp pain is not, and if you feel that, stop that movement immediately. Always do this routine either in bed or seated in a sturdy, stable chair, ideally one with arms, and never attempt the standing hip circles without solid support nearby. And once you do stand up to start your day, make sure you're wearing supportive, non-slip footwear, not socks alone on a hard floor, since your joints will be warmed up, but your balance still needs backup in those first few minutes. Think about what this actually means for Carol, and for you. This was never really about arthritis creeping in overnight, or about your body simply falling apart with age. It was about a fluid that thickens when it sits still, and warms back up the moment you ask it to move. Every single one of these movements exists to do one thing: gently coax that synovial fluid back into circulation before you ever put real weight on the joint, working from the ankles up through the knees, hips, spine, shoulders, hands, and neck, so that by the time you actually stand up, your whole body has already had a head start. Carol does this now every morning before her feet even hit the floor, and she told me the thing that changed wasn't just her knees, it was that she stopped dreading her alarm clock. She used to lie there for a few extra minutes each morning, bracing herself for that first painful attempt to stand. Now she moves through her ankle pumps and knee extensions right in bed, and by the time she's up, most of that dread is simply gone. She walks to get her mail now without that first wince. She got down on the living room floor to play with her grandson last month for the first time in years, and she told me she didn't think twice about it until after she was already back up on her feet. That's what this is really about. Not just less stiffness in a joint, but quietly getting back the parts of your day you'd stopped expecting to enjoy. If you want to keep building on this, my next video walks through a similar approach for balance and fall prevention, another area where small, specific movements make a far bigger difference than people expect. Until then, here's to living life on your own terms. If you enjoyed this video, comment 1. If not, comment 0. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.